I've been a teacher for nearly 20 years and I've taught at this school that I work in now for about 9 years now, and I teach early years. One of the biggest parts of my job is teaching phonics and teaching children to read, and that's what I love to do. That's my favourite part of the job. I've used various strategies before to teach phonics. I've used styles that involve cues and actions before, but recently in September this year I've started using visual cues to help children learn to read. So I've got a system of visual cues that I use at the minute where we're matching the hand shapes to the sounds, and I've taught the children to use these as they've learnt new sounds in school, and it's worked really well. They say the sound and they use the hand shape, and they're now learning to blend sounds using these hand shapes as well. Using visual cues to support teaching phonics can help children to say sounds, identify sounds. It can help visual learners, all children, all abilities. It can help visual learners. It can support memory and recall. It's a memory jog for sounds, so when you're teaching whole class phonics, the children can use these cues to remember the sounds and blend them together. It can support reading. Children can use visual cues to help them learn to blend and get the sounds in the right order and make the words and read independently quite early on. The system supports early language development and can be beneficial to children with speech and language difficulties. If there are children that can't pronounce certain sounds and find it difficult to articulate, like g, k, if the child can't say it, it can be useful because they could show you that visual cue so you know what they're trying to say, even if they can't pronounce it. It'd be quite beneficial in writing as well. Obviously I've got the youngest children and we start with reading and we start with learning sounds, but we quickly go on to learning to write as well. And they're taught that one hand shape can represent one sound, so it can be your digraphs and your trigraphs as well. So whatever the sound is, that one hand shape helps them think what the sound is and what letters they need to write, so they can make the shapes with the hands and off they go and they can write it as well. So it works really well. They can identify missing sounds in words. If children are emerging writers or they're starting to build their first sentences, say they wanted to write went. We've had children before that would miss a sound out and maybe write wet, but when they read it back, if they cued it, let me go, went, they would notice by looking at it, oh, I didn't put the I've put wet. So it could be used for situations like that as well, identifying missing sounds. It can support children of all ages and all abilities. It can work for anybody. It can be learned very easily, very quickly, and you can learn to use cued hand shapes along with your children in class. So you learn as the children learn and you can learn to cue together.